Welcome to Functionally Speaking, the podcast where two clinicians share one brain cell and way too many opinions.
I'm Laura, your mineral-obsessed dietitian who gets fired up about gut health, metabolism, and fertility, with enough sass to keep it interesting and enough nuance to keep it real.
And I'm Danielle, a physician assistant obsessed with gut health, hormones, and calling out the bullshit.
We're here for the nuance, the hot takes, the facts your certification skipped over, and the occasional spiral into chaos.
If you're a health coach, practitioner, or clinician who's slightly functional, just like our mitochondria in our recording process, you're in the right place.
We're not here to sugarcoat the science or pretend there's one right way to do this work. We're doing it our way, unfiltered, slightly feral, and always with love for the humans we serve. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to Functionally Speaking, the clinical pod that spirals responsibly, sponsored by us, Unconventional Collaborative. The virtual mastermind is, I had to mess it up at some point.
You did. You're pretty strong, though.
I know.
We're like how many episodes in?
I know. Where community meets education. If you guys want to learn more about our mastermind, you can go to unconventionalcollaborative.com. You can DM us on Instagram, on our personal pages, on the collaborative page, get in contact with us. But if you're not there, you are really missing out because we have a lot of amazing guests starting on January 6th, I think, is our first guest, right? Michelle Shapiro is coming to talk about MCAS and histamine. Yeah, so it's going to be really great. If you're not there, what are you even doing? If you're here and you're not there, come on.
Yes. There's so much good content coming up in the next year.
I know. Oh, we're both thriving today. So.
Yes, I brought my sexy voice today. You're all welcome. Oh, have children, they say.
Oh my God.
Anyway. What are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about how to choose and set up your business model, because I feel like one of our members yesterday, I feel like we were talking a lot about like, what does your membership design look like? And what do your offerings look like? And I think one important thing that I want to say before we kind of get into the outline and the options that we have here is decision fatigue. If you have too many options, people are going to be like, and they're going to exit out because there's so much information everywhere. In my opinion, 3 levels of offerings that are concise, clear what the difference is kind of how I operate my business, or how I currently am operating my business. I went on to it was like a nutrition, and I like to snoop on people. I like to say curious. I've rebranded Nosy as Curious. And I went on to this nutrition and fitness coaching company's website, and they had literally 8 offers. And I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's just too many. They were all so similar. I think when you run into similarities like that, it's so easy for people to exit out of things and be like, I'll do it later. If you're giving them more opportunity to do that with overwhelming them with options that don't have clear differences from each other, I think that can become really problematic. And I would say I don't necessarily like to start off with like the negatives or don't do this. And also I feel like that is a really big one.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much overwhelm in the world. And I think a lot of people think they know what they want, but they don't truly. And so you as the business owner, knowing who your target market is, need to know what they actually need, right? So it's like the old adage is like, sell them what they want. No. Show them what they want, sell them what they need, whatever that phrase is. I messed it up. But the whole point is like, yes, they're coming to you saying that they have fatigue and bloat and period issues or whatever. So they're saying they want someone to help them with that. They don't know what program they need, likely, right? Like there might be a dietitian who already is in this line of work and she knows that like, I just need another eyes on this and I know that I need 6 months, whatever. But like, the 99.9% of people coming through your doors don't know what they need. I have no idea. They know they want to feel better. They know they want X, Y, and Z, but they don't know the program that they need. You need to be confident. And I have found this in my practice. The more confident I am in my offer, the more likely people are going to purchase it. Because if I start fumbling, if I start saying like, oh, well, we could do 3 months instead of 6, or oh, we could do this instead of that. Now I'm not confident. And then they start lacking confidence in my abilities because they're like, well, wait a minute. She said 6 months and now she's saying 3 months. So now she's saying monthly. Like it's just that lack of ownership and CEO type role in your business leaves them questioning when really they shouldn't be. They should be like, okay, she said I need this, done.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I thought we could go through just the kind of several levels of offers. And the first one that I have is obviously the one-on-one. I feel like, I don't know, I feel as though there is this really big push to get out of one-on-ones, and I don't get it. I like seeing my people, and I feel like that's the way that we get the most movement, right? But I thought, I'm having like seven thoughts at once right now. I understand from a like getting your time back perspective why people want to push more evergreen products and masterclasses and or memberships and things like that. I think those things also have a role. I also think for most people, not having a one-on-one option financially just isn't really feasible.
Unless you're huge. Like,
Yeah. Unless
you
you've
know,
got, unless you're someone just very massive and you have other streams of revenue, or your partner is making the majority of the money. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to both of this, right? So, start with some of the positives, right? It's the most lucrative. Unless you are someone with 1 million followers, it's going to make you the most money, period. And also, it's going to move the needle probably the most for most people, right? Like, you have those outliers of people who can take your master classes and do this thing and do that thing, and they get some movement. But at some point, even still, I will say, like, you can't replace that one-on-one practitioner client interaction. You just get so much information from meeting face to face, from those check-in points, from the chat, from hearing about their daily life, that you don't get when someone only attends a masterclass or has a membership with you.
I also think as a practitioner, it benefits you not just financially, but I think it makes you a better practitioner. Like, transparency for me is I'm trying to step back from some one-on-one, but I never intend, I guess never say never, but my intention is never to have no one-on-ones, because that's where I've learned the most. That's where I've grown the most as a provider. That's how I know what the pulse is when it comes to nutrition and health and what people are actually experiencing.
Yeah, I feel like what you're describing is, I'm going to give a little bit of a different example, but the hospital administrator who comes in for a day to the clinic and has no idea what the everyday person is struggling with in their role, right? So when you stop seeing one-on-ones, I do feel like there is a part, most of the time, I feel like there are I'm thinking of people I know personally who are probably exceptions to this rule because they're so education forward. But for 95% plus of people who, if they're not seeing one-on-ones, I feel like that really is creating a slight disconnect. Not to say like they don't know what they're doing or they've lost everything, but there is that slight disconnect of what's actually happening, what is the pulse, like what's going on, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I mean, I guess like the cons are that it's costly for the client, right? It's really time. I tell people this, like, listen, you're investing in your time and your money with me. It's not just a financial commitment. Like, there are things that I'm going to ask you to do, and sometimes people aren't ready for that. And so sometimes these other options can be a good stepping block to get people into your one-on-one as well.
I think from the practitioner side too, it is more time consuming on your end too. And it's not just the time facing the client, it's everything else that goes into it. So
yeah, there is so much time on the back end, right? Like, that's what really makes, there's a lot of things that make us different from our conventional counterparts, I would say, but we're probably very similar on this. I probably spend about anywhere between 30 and 60 minutes, depending on the complexity of the person, before our first meeting, and probably at least 30 minutes before every follow-up, and then finishing notes and making sure people have resources. I don't think people on the outside, right, clinicians listening to this, get it, and we're giving people podcasts, we're giving them book recommendations. I have in my shortcuts and snippets and Practice Better, I have individual Instagram posts for certain things that I think will be helpful for people, or explanations about perimenopause and hormones and this, and like the things that people get from us are completely different. And Marcus actually was making this point about really talking to people in my personal business about, hey, this is how this is different from a doctor's visit. Has your doctor ever handed you anything after a 6 or 7 minute visit with like a comprehensive breakdown of things that can help you more educate, where you can go get more education, typing things out, a full breakdown of your labs? Like, that just doesn't happen.
No, you sometimes don't even hear about your labs if they came back
Best of luck.
normal. Yeah. Actually, sometimes you don't even hear about it when they are abnormal. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's time consuming on both ends. And I think for the right one-on-one client, they also need to be at like the right readiness to change stage 2 for it to be, work out, which sometimes is hard because you have clients who think they're ready and they're not, and they probably would do better in other offers right now, and that keeps them in your business. So
Yeah.
I think one-on-ones is definitely the most lucrative. I don't ever see not having it in my business. And when I worked for a lab testing company, they really wanted to automate everything and said that, like, we don't even want them to have touch points. We just want to be able to give them recommendations. And I said, kindly, that is never going to be the case because you're working with living, breathing human beings who are emotional. And so I just think that we forget that like your health is not automated. It's not, you can't figure it out all on ChatGPT. And so that's what you're selling when you're selling this one-on-one. You're literally giving these individualized recommendations, but you're also hand holding and giving that emotional support that they're not getting elsewhere, which I think is priceless. How many people come to you and they're so worried about their health and you talk them through it. And they're like I literally had a client tell me this week, she was like, I feel better every time I talk to you. And I'm like, right, because it's not like I'm necessarily anything special, but like I'm talking to you as a human being and explaining things to you one-on-one in a way that is digestible and not overwhelming and not in 7 minutes.
Yes, not in 7 minutes. My God. And that is the average PCP visit time for people who.
It's wild.
It is so wild. So,
I mean, I believe it. Like seeing, like obviously I've been in that scenario, but sometimes you're just like,
holy shit.
no wonder nothing gets done. I mean, like I'm hard pressed to finish an hour conversation in an hour with a client. I'm always surprised when I look at the time and I'm like, we've been talking for an hour? We just started.
I know. Okay, do we want to move on to like masterclasses, webinars? Do we have anything more to say about one-on-one?
I don't think so. I feel like those are the bread and butter.
Yeah. So masterclasses and webinars, I personally love masterclasses and webinars. I love creating. And so for me as a practitioner and a business owner, like I really love doing this. And I'm actually doing a series of masterclasses that are going to be all interconnected in 2026. So all about like mindset, movement, metabolism, basically how to like fix busted metabolisms. And this is something I've never done before. So this is new to me. I tried to do it on like a higher scale level, and people who wanted like master classes, they were like, it's too expensive. So I switched it up and here we are. So we're going to run that. But I've also done a ton of like individual master classes on certain topics. And I really love this because, first of all, I hate business people who are like, everyone can afford your services if they want to. That's simply not true. I can't get on board with that way of thinking. And so I do really love having an offers that can reach more people. I have a girl who she slid into my DMs the other day and she came to one of my master classes and she's like, it was so helpful advocating for me at my doctor's appointment. I was able to get all the labs that you mentioned, blah, blah, blah. And so like that feels really good to me, that knowing that I'm reaching more people, right? And also the other thing I will say about a pro for master classes and webinars is oftentimes those people end up coming around to one-on-one. I will say for every masterclass I do, I usually get about 2 to 3 one-on-one clients, which is a big payout for me. So not only am I making money on that and I'm reaching more people, creating more brand awareness, I'm also probably creating future revenue for myself, if not immediate. Like the last masterclass I did, I signed 2 people on right away. So those are some of the pros that I see for that.
I'm not against it. I just don't have time. This is why I'm trying to grow in a different way, because I just haven't had time to do the lower ticket offers because my one-on-one is always full and I have 2 young children. So I think it's really, the long of the short of it is having not just separate offers for your clients to keep people within your sphere, but also having different streams of income, because, I have different streams than like not master classes, but I feel like I have streams from, brand partnerships and affiliates and all of that. It's really trying to diversify how you're bringing in money so that you're not just relying on one stream of income, then also allowing your clients to or your potential clients or your people who are in your circle, your target market, other ways to work with you.
The other pro that I didn't mention is then you have an evergreen product. You can sell it statically later. So I think that that's another pro. the downside is just is really only the revenue. There's no follow up with people. It's kind of like all of the pros of the one-on-one, like you're not getting with this type of offer. But I don't know. I think there, and like the other thing I would put in this category are like guides or ebooks or things like that that can be really helpful for people. So, any other thoughts about masterclasses, webinars?
No, I mean, I'm proof that you don't have to do these if you don't
Yeah,
have the
you don't
time or
have to.
bandwidth. But I just like I'm not. I don't want anyone to think I'm against them. I just literally have not had the bandwidth or capacity, which I think kind of plays into like your client too, right? What do they have the bandwidth for? And as a business owner, I just have not, and I also think that's okay. And that's where kind of coming down to like when you're trying to decide what to do, like one-on-ones is probably going to be most lucrative if that's all you have the time for. But if you have the capacity, like if I ever get 2 seconds of my children not being sick or getting me sick, like evergreen products are great because it keeps people within your sphere and, gives them other ways. Like I'm sure the people who have worked one-on-one with you who have bought your masterclass or webinars because people just want to keep learning. Like that's the best thing to do is keep people in your sphere because they're going to come back to you when they need help, which, because once again, they're living, breathing humans. So
Right.
things change. It's not like they might, they don't finish and like end a program with you and then that life never smacks them in the face again.
Right.
So I
Right.
think it's very important. My caveat is I just haven't, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Yeah. And the other thing is a membership. I don't currently offer a membership in my one-on-one. I mean, we have the collaborative, which is,
Fair.
membership based and also another stream of revenue for both of us. But in my opinion, I think the practitioner, so like if we're talking like business to business model or like practitioner to practitioner type membership, in my opinion, is an easier sell than the business to consumer or practitioner to client. Because we have a lot of people in the collaborative who have talked about this. Some of them are doing better, but some of them have just been like, man, this is my hardest sell and it's my lowest ticket offer. So I do think that there is something to that. I think it can do really well. I don't have one. It's just I have the collaborative, so I'm like, this is something that I don't have the time or bandwidth or haven't put, like that's not where I'm putting my eggs personally. But we know a lot of people who, offer this and like it, and it's also a funnel into their one-on-ones as well.
I'm starting to use a membership as like my downsell from someone who's already been a one-on-one. So all of my one-on-ones now get access to a membership group plus 2 times a month office hours. And the goal is to eventually have anyone who needs to step down from the one-on-one but still needs support to have that. But I agree. I think I've seen a lot of colleagues go the membership route, and it feels like it's a lot of work to get someone in for a usually lower ticket offer. Like usually it's between like 30 and $50 a month is what I see most people charging. And it just takes a lot of effort to get them in there. And then, if they're only spending $50 a month, what is that? $600 a year, like that's kind of like where I'm the same way. I'm like, it's not really worth my while because I don't know that I want to grow that to like 100 or 200 people, right? Like it could eventually be really valuable if you grew it really big. And once again, I think this is if you have a lot of followers and a large platform, probably would be profitable because you have to do less work to get them in there and you'd be able to get volume. And it's all about like strategy when it comes to business, right? Like that's what we learned when I do have an MBA, and it's all about strategy. And there's not necessarily a right or wrong. It's more, what do you want your business model to look like? And what
Right.
makes the most sense for you? Because if you do have a small following, that doesn't mean that you are not fully capable. It just means you have a small following. And so it's going to be much harder to get a lot of people at a low price range as opposed to a couple people at a higher price range with more impact, more testimonials, more word of mouth referrals, right? And so not trying to sway people against having memberships. I think it's a good supplemental program to having that foundational one-on-one masterclass, whatever. It's kind of just like, keeping people in your sphere. And I don't think it's a bad step down from one-on-one because now these people you already know. So it's like less work for you to have to also like try to get to know this person. And they've already done the foundational work with you too. I can't imagine bringing someone in who probably really needs one-on-one and having them in the membership and probably the whole time being like, they just need a one-on-one. Like that would drive me crazy.
Oh my God. And that's such a difficult thing. I feel like one of the biggest, I don't want to say mistakes, but struggles that I see practitioners make is letting people do like one sessions or letting them do less than they probably really need. And I get it. Like you can't force the person to like, I mean, I am now. I'm only offering 6 months. I'm not offering people 3 months. I totally took that offer off the table because people just weren't seeing the results and they weren't getting what they needed from working with the like several people who I had over the last year who chose that option. But if you have more than one time offering and you're like, people just don't need this, you cannot have that as a public facing offer. Like that is totally an option. Like if someone comes to me and they have an MSQ, right? If you didn't listen to the episode on MSQ, or the 5 things you should be using in your business, go back and listen to that. They have an MSQ of 10 and they really just want a checkpoint or this or that. I have options for those people. That is not the average person coming to us. I think we know that now. The average person coming to us has an MSQ between like 75 and I would say 150. That is not going to get fixed in the next 2 months. So I would really urge you as a practitioner, again, I think, Laura, you were touching on this earlier with the confidence piece. If you are offering those options public facing to people, saying, listen, you need this 6-month option or whatever the option is that you think they need. So you're not hemming and hawing, and then they're not hemming and hawing. And when people hem and haw, they're going to spend less money. They're going to choose the easier option. It's just how our brains are hardwired, right? So I would really, the way that I structure my business, and you and I are a little bit different, is I have one-on-ones. I have guides and ebooks and masterclasses. And now I'm doing this kind of hybrid thing that's not really a group program, but it's a interconnected series for 2026, right? But those are really the only offers that I have. So it's when people come to me, I'm like, listen, this is what your MSQ is. This is what I've seen in the past. Like now I'm getting into like selling and consults and things like that. But I think just because I had that conversation with someone inside the collaborative yesterday where I'm saying, listen, my people who sign up for this offer see 30% reduction in symptoms average in a month and 80 to 90% reduction in symptoms over 6 months. I know that this is what you need. That's the kind of confidence that people want to hear from you, because if you hem and haw and you're like, you're on the other end doing that, you're going to lose that person for sure. So, and I think also for the clinician, when you only have a couple of offerings, you're much more confident. You don't have to think like, oh, I don't know. Do they need the 3 month? Do they need the 6 month? Do they need the 4 month? Do they need a one-time appointment? Like you don't have to do that because you have these very clear-cut boundaries of your offerings.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing about owning your own business is that it can change, and it has for both of us, but being confident with what the offer is currently. So
yeah,
I honestly think that there's no one right way to run your business, but I think from a health perspective, unfortunately, the one-on-ones are probably always going to be the anchor of a business if that's your goal, is to improve people's health.
Agreed.
So,
any final thoughts about this?
No, those were my final.
Cool. Well, if you're enjoying us and Laura's sexy voice, go rate and review.
Around.
We have more coming your way, but go check out unconventionalcollaborative.com. Follow us on Instagram, unconventional.collaborative. And come join us because we have some really amazing guests coming up in 2026. We have Michelle Shapiro coming on January 26th, Dr. Kat Hite coming at the end of January talking about functional genetics, and Dr. Stacy Whitman coming at the beginning of February talking about airway and breathing and functional dentistry. It's going to be really amazing. So we hope to meet you all and see you all there. Bye.
Bye.